So to all the Patreon members, all the supporters, all the subscribers, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you're a first-time viewer, welcome. Please, if you can, hit the subscribe button, share this video, like this video, comment below. Thank you for tuning in. If you want to send a donation, Cash App information is on the screen. Uh, Facebook group, Passport Bros Unite. All right. That's the name of the Facebook group. And Patreon should be Splashway Beats. All right. So let's get into it. Um, Women with passports travel just as much as passport bros, and that is the God honest truth. All right. For somebody who has been living abroad for going on 15 years now, around about 15 years, right? Who's been living outside of America, frequently traveling outside of America, lived in Asia for 8 years, lived in Canada for about 4 years. Well, no, excuse me, 6 years. I'm actually in Canada right now. This is why I am not screen sharing with my laptop because I don't bring my laptop on the road. I'm in Edmonton right now. All right. People, especially women, they travel just as much as passport bros. But when you go on TikTok and you see some of these, you see some of these podcasts on YouTube, TikTok, they're having discussions with women and they ask women their thoughts on guys who travel, passport bros. And there's always such a negative response, right? It's always such a negative response because in their mind, you know, any interactions from, between a man and a woman, women always deem it as negative coming from the man. They want to pursue men, but the idea of men getting a passport and traveling abroad, they always have to put a negative twist on the man. They always got to shame the man for what could happen, the negative things that could have happened, the manipulative things that quote unquote men could do to a woman traveling abroad, right? They're saying all these things about men. They're calling men losers, this, that, and the third, and they skip over women. I've touched on this subject before. I'm going to do it again. All right. Women, when you travel abroad, you see just as many women with passports as you see the men. All right. Because you'll see a podcast or you'll go on TikTok, right? And let's say it's an Asian woman. Her background, she might be Filipino, Korean, Chinese, right? Born here in America, raised in America, and then get on a podcast and shit on men with passports that are traveling, living abroad when you're first generation American, your parents aren't from here. Your parents were passport bros before, your parents are passport bros, right? You know, the visa bros. Not only did they get up, leave, right? They got citizenship, a visa, and stayed right here. They didn't make it work in their home country. Um, you guys have heard me talk about that podcast with the Colombian woman on all black. Most of the guys on that panel were black. Nobody checked this woman, when she was explaining back home in Colombia while she was doing that podcast, filming that podcast in, I think, New York, somewhere on the East Coast. Nobody checked this woman and say, she was on there saying, well, I think, they're lame, they're corny, it's disgusting. It's like you see a lot of guys with, coming from America, traveling down abroad, trying to holler at the Colombian women, and most of them are black. That was bullshit. That's cap. Black people are still on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to traveling, right? You skip over all these white people, but you want to call out black people that are traveling in Colombia, but okay. And I think it's weak of them, and I think it's just goofy and lame. Why would you want to get a passport and travel to another country to get a girlfriend? Why can't you get something here? And nobody stopped to ask that woman, okay, since you said that about them, you're doing the same thing that they're doing. Why are you here in America? Why are you dating American men in America? Why don't you go back home and figure shit out in Colombia, and get with a Colombian man and make it work? You're doing the same thing as them, but you shit on these men. But here's the thing, guys who have traveled and lived abroad, you know that if you've traveled and lived abroad, you know that, okay, there's just as many women traveling abroad, and there's nothing wrong with that. All right. Now, the thumbnail to this video, that's all AI. Nobody in that picture is real. Isn't that crazy? I made that photo, but it's all AI generated. But there's real photos out there like that. When you travel, you know, I haven't been to the Caribbean islands, right? But I know for a fact, living in Canada, there's a lot of women out here that they frequently travel to the Caribbean islands, specifically Jamaica. All right, I've uh I've had little short flings with women who travel to Jamaica because these women in Canada, they have long distance relationships with guys in Canada. There's a lot of mixed kids out here that have a white mother, and their father has never been able, like, since they can remember, their father has been deported from Canada. It's like, where's your father? Well, he's in Jamaica. Then what happened? Well, he got deported when I was 3. You see that a lot. You see a lot of women, or like they'll have a long distance relationship with a guy in Jamaica. The woman just keeps on flying back and forth, and then she ends up pregnant, coming back to Canada, has the kid, and either, after a while, they might maintain a relationship for a while, don't really try to sponsor him, and shit just fizzles out, and she's like, all right, whatever. If you want to, I'll buy you a phone. If you want to FaceTime your daughter or your son, then go right ahead. That happens a lot out here. There's a lot of mixed kids in Canada whose father is in the Caribbean islands. Never even been to Canada, or they tried getting him to Canada, shit didn't work out or whatever, and he got dipped. He got deported. All right. That thumbnail, that's the stereotypical Canadian woman that goes down to Jamaica. And the resort will tell them, like, hey, don't leave this resort. They'll book a resort and then be like, all right, at night I'll sleep here, but during the day, I'm going into I'm hitting the streets. I'm going into the village with the people, right? They get dug out as soon as they leave that resort. They are a star when they go down to Jamaica. I knew this one chick, right? She was my neighbor. Um, this chick, she was, she did have, you know, some tiggle bitties on her, but this chick was built like a whale, right? Real big ass head, looked like what's that? I'll say special. What's that one special kid's name on the Goonies? Right? She looked like that in the face. That one, special needs kid on the Goonies. That's who she looked like in the face. Big, but just huge titties, right? Wasn't interested in nobody in Canada, in passing, because me and my girl used to live next to her. And we would say hello in passing or whatever, and my girl would do her hair. But when she go down to Jamaica, she was getting ran through. And, when she come back with these stories, and it's just like, damn, it's kind of like you going through these near misses out there, and it's not really safe because you going from a relatively safe city, right, in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, right? But then you're going to Jamaica where the murder rate is just outrageous, right? At first, she was getting ran through. Then it's like, people will fight over her and shit. Then she met a dude, and then the dude introduced her to like his family. The family was like, hey, if you ever want to come to Jamaica, you can stay here, and this, that, and the third. And, they kind of basically accepted her, doing a whole lot for her, right? And then uh, the dude that she was dating had, somebody had beef with him. So then the guy that had beef with him unalived him. So then she had to go back to Jamaica for the funeral. You know what I'm saying? And then she still goes back to use the family's like house to stay there. Just crazy. She got pictures of him on the wall framed. These are passport hoes. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of women, and a lot of these women, especially, that's the stereotypical image of a woman with a passport that travels down to the Caribbean islands. There's American women that travel down to the Caribbean islands too, especially black women, but it's a lot of white American and white Canadian females that travel down there. Right? Some of them are up in age. It's like men who get criticized for going to Colombia, going to Brazil, getting drugged and robbed. Some of these guys have been unalive. Hey, don't think you're the only ones. These women are going through the same thing, right? If it's not them, it's the dude that they're messing around with or the men they're messing around with in these countries in the Caribbean islands, right? These women, their men, they got real tension, real beef with other guys in their hood in Jamaica or in Trinidad. It's so dangerous in some of these countries. Like in Trinidad, I knew this one chick. She she took her kids, single mother of three, right? Took her kids down in Trinidad, and different areas she had to go into, whether it be okay, I want to go to this market and do this, that, and the third, and shop for this, or I need to go over here and shop for this. Everywhere she went, she had to get a male chaperone to escort her into these areas. So okay, I want to go to the market to pick up this, that, and the third. She had to hire a male to walk around with her and protect her like security going around these areas. I'm like, why is that? She said, and out here, they don't give a damn. Like, the men, they'll pull over, rob us, unalive us. I'm like, women and kids? They're like, yeah. And that's another reason why I don't want to hear anybody who's from the African or Caribbean talking down on Black Americans in America. We don't do that, right? A black woman and her kids, if she has to go in the hood somewhere, nobody's just going to unalive her and rob her like that. A woman and kids, right? Now, if unfortunately people have been unalive with strays, like stray bullets, and that's unfortunate, but was it intentionally for them? No. Either way it goes, I guess it doesn't matter. But these women with passports, they're going to these islands and they're treacherous. And the dudes they're with, they got beef. And if they want to travel and explore the islands, they can't freely roam around and do that as they please because they will rob and unalive these women, right? So, you know, women will wag their fingers, laugh at you, call you corny, lame for going down to Colombia or Brazil, getting drugged and robbed, right? But these women are going through that and much worse in these Caribbean islands, right? Not all the islands, but most of the islands, they going through that. They really got to watch their step going through these islands. So the the woman with the locks, the Caucasian woman with the locks that never lock. It's an ugly look, but that hairstyle on them doesn't look right. But hey, but that's typical. Trying to connect with the local thirsty, right? Don't really give a damn about the culture, right? You really don't give a damn about the culture, what, people's pain and suffering, the history, what's been done to these people on these islands. You just go there to blend in, right? As, you know, the, the white queen, right? To get fucked by a bunch of dudes, because you know how thirsty a lot of these guys are, especially for women with white skin on these islands, right? It's almost like they worship these women. I told you about my neighbor. I mean, this chick was the only thing she had going for her was her titties. That was it. But she was hideous. And I mean, you know, it, men would follow this woman in Jamaica because I knew her friend. Her friend was like, yeah, she's like a star down there. Like, guys are just thirsty, waiting in line, like just wanting to do things for her, massage her and carry her. And because there was a time she went down there and she fell, twisted her ankle, and like the men were there to like pick her up and carry her. I'm like, man, that's a big woman. Like, pampering her, spoiling her as much as they could. Don't think these women aren't really getting that level of treatment, on some of these islands, all right? Or going to Africa's, whether it be Africa or the Caribbean islands, man, women from America, Canada, Europe, oh, they flock to African countries and Caribbean countries in droves to get plowed by brothers, elderly women at that. A woman damn near 60 going down to Jamaica to pull somebody that's like in their late 20s, early 30s. I knew another chick. Where was she from? She was from Edmonton. Right? Y'all know, when I first moved to, actually, um, I once upon a time I used to live off Jasper Avenue, 117th in Edmonton years ago. This was like 2011, right? I knew this chick in my building, and she wasn't no spring chicken. This woman was like in her mid 50s, right? She would say hello, good morning. She would go on walks and stuff like that. And she asked me, where was I from? And I'm like, well, I'm from America. She was like, yeah, because I could tell by your accent, that's an American accent. I'm like, okay. So she was like, yeah, I'm dating somebody, but he's Jamaican. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, I'm new to Canada at this moment in time because I didn't really know about the whole Jamaican thing when I was in Saskatchewan, right? Now I'm being introduced to the mindset of women who constantly go to these Caribbean islands because I would see Canadians in Saskatchewan, they were always traveling in the winter. On their Facebook pages, it was just, I'm like, damn, like, because I didn't really know too much about traveling to South America or Thailand or the Caribbean islands. I thought it was like, damn, they must be balling. And they're there for a whole month. They must be balling. No, it didn't really take that much money to travel down there. So, you know, day by day as I'm living there, and we were running to each other in passing. She would tell me that, her dude, she never, she met her dude online on the internet. And I'm like, oh, okay. So he doesn't live out here? No, it's been long distance for a couple of years. I'm like, okay. And she didn't live by herself. She lived with her sister. I'm like, how old's your sister? Her sister was like in her early 40s or whatever. I'm like, damn, you living off your little sister like that? So To make a long story short, it's like she didn't really have enough to be able to live on her own. She could, but this woman was so thirsty for this dude in Jamaica. She was constantly sending him money, constantly traveling down there, buying him phones, sending it down there, working on paperwork to get him back up here. And I'm like, how old is this guy? She said he was like 32. I'm like, 32? And you how old? She said like 56. And it's a 56-year-old Caucasian woman. This ain't a 56-year-old black woman. This is a 56 Caucasian woman with a black 32-year-old. I said, and I told her one day, I said, ma'am, you keep telling me about this dude. This man don't like you like that. All right. This man does not like you like that. She's like, and they are delusional. Once these women they catch the travel bug and they get a passport and they go to the Caribbean islands, especially Jamaica, especially Canadian women going to Jamaica, they don't see anybody else in Canada. They have tunnel vision. It's like they got them racehorses with the blockers. That's what it is. That's all they see is Jamaica and Jamaicans. And if they meet other black people in Canada, if they're not Jamaican, they don't fuck with them. So if they're African, they're like, nah. If they're Trini, they're like, nah. Bahamian, nah. Barbados, nah. you know, Ghanaian, nah. Guyana, nah. Jamaican, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Hey, come on in. This woman could not live on her own because she kept sending money to this dude, kept flying down there to see him, and then buying him phones so that they can talk, buying him like minutes and shit like that because the service down there is totally different. So she couldn't afford to live on her own. She had to live off her younger sister. That's how thirsty and out of whack and out of fucking, these women, how crazy they are, right? Now, she was working on getting his visa. And I told her, I was like, hey, man, look here, lady. This man is going to get his visa. He's going to come up here, right? He'll mess around with you for a little bit longer, but he going to hook up with one of these younger chicks that's just as thirsty for Jamaican guys as you are. And you can't have no kids. You have a 56-year-old body, right? Let him run around with some of these other young 22, 23-year-old thirst buckets out here who want your man also, who want a Jamaican man also. And they don't want to have to keep flying down to Jamaica to get him, right? I remember this one chick, I only hit it like a few times and that was it. Dude, like, she had a kid up here. Her baby daddy was Jamaican. You know what I'm saying? A lot of women, if they fuck with brothers up here, it's really Jamaican. Or if they over in Vancouver, there's a lot of women that like brothers that are American. Um, if they fuck with brothers, they want to fuck with somebody on the football team who's American. If not, they'll travel down to America. If not, they'll get somebody Jamaican. That's it. Right? Salute to Daddy Sean. A lot of middle aged women been traveling to many countries like Jamaica and Africa for years. Nothing new. Yeah, mainly from Canada and the UK. There are some of these stories and it never ends. If you like someone and spend time with them, then great. But you want to marry them and bring them to your country, you're delusional and got issues of your own. Exactly. It's like, especially if you're a man. I know this live is mainly focused on the women, but especially if you're a man, if you marry somebody, I always said like, a lot of guys they feel like you shouldn't bring your lady over to America. Now, if you got a solid chick, it don't matter where y'all travel to. If she's solid, then if she's solid over there, she gonna be solid in America. The only reason why a lot of guys feel like don't bring her back to America is because you ain't got a solid bitch. All right. She ain't solid and you know it. So your mind is like, I can't bring her back over here. But there is a risk bringing somebody back over here because now they got rights as all these other Western women do to fuck you over and to basically drain you of your finances. You see what I'm saying? But anyways, these women, they go through the same thing too. There's a Jamaican YouTube channel that talks about just this never-ending stories of foreigners being scammed. Also, so many YouTubers Okay, I'm back. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Cause this fucking hotel Wi-Fi. I hate hotel Wi-Fi's. So we just gonna go with data. I'm using my data right now. I hate hotel Wi-Fi's. The only thing I like about internet in hotels is if you have like a cable. I have my Steam Deck here, but I don't have. I only got my AirPods, so I don't know how my audio would sound streaming from my Steam Deck with my AirPods on. I'll try it tomorrow, but man, my bad. But anyways, most of my time I've spent is in Canada and in Asia. Most of it mainly has been in Asia. But even now in Canada, you have a lot of Canadians are moving to America. You know what I'm saying? They want to relocate to America. It don't matter if you're relocating for a better life or whatever. You're still going to date. All right. You're still doing the same thing you're wagging your finger at other men for, right? I remember a woman judged me because I kind of came up to Canada not only for the opportunity that was given to me at the moment, which helped me, which built up my background and my resume, right? But I'm like, I kind of clicked with the women better up here at that time, and she thought that she said something slick about that, and I kicked her out of my spot, right? Now all these Canadians, damn near 40% of Canada's population has relocated to America. I'm not bullshitting, right? So there's so many people leaving to go to America. It's almost like it's a pipeline from a foreign country going to Canada. They don't like it, then they end up coming to America, right? Canada's losing so many people that there's a lot of people from the UK relocating here to Canada. All right. Um, and essentially you're doing the same thing that you're pointing a finger, that you're criticizing brothers with passports or just men with passports. You're criticizing men with passports, but you're doing the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's another English speaking country. You are doing the same thing and you're gonna date and fuck the local guys over here. You are a passport hoe. All right. Hoe, but the opportunity, I don't give a damn. You didn't stay to make that work. You fled to another country. You fled to America to get citizenship. And your vagina still works and you're gonna make it work, right? So you're gonna fuck the local guys in whatever city you move to. All right. So a lot of these women are delusional. When I was in Asia, right, everywhere I went, there were foreign women, especially in Thailand. You would think that Sure, there's more men than there's more male travelers who go to Thailand than female travelers, but it's damn near even, right? You see just as many female travelers out there as well. So, and there are Asian travelers with passports also. There's a lot of Asian women that travel over to different Asian countries. It's still traveling. There's a lot of Koreans. There's a lot of Japanese. There's a lot of Chinese in Thailand with passport, females, right? I told you, one of the first women that I had a long-term relationship with in Thailand was a Korean woman, right? And then she introduced me to some of her Korean friends over there that were all single. You see what I'm saying? They are in Thailand. That they are passport hoes. I wouldn't necessarily call her a hoe because I mean she looked like she wasn't acting like she was trying to get ran through, but it was she had a passport, all right, and dated men of other races in a different country. She was doing the same thing. And she hollered at me. She came up to me, right? It's a lot of foreign women in China. When I was in Beijing, I go to the club. There were Indonesian women there. There were Indian women there. There were European Caucasian women there. There was black women there. There was African women there. I remember at this one club I used to go to called Vix in Beijing. A lot of people go to Vix. Everybody know about Vix if you've been to Beijing, right? You hit the nightlife, you hit the streets in Beijing. Vix, they would hold like a twerking contest. You think it was Chinese women up on stage battling in this twerking contest? No, it was white, black, Indonesian, Sri Lankan. Well, of course, the sisters won, right? But you run into just as many female foreigners when you travel, especially when you work, right? You really see them at the workplace. You teach English in an Asian country, you're going to see all the women that are there. I remember one of the places I worked at, it was all males, right? Then I remember staying there for about a month and I left and I went to another spot and all the teachers there that were my coworkers, they were all females, right? One was from New York, the other one was from Swaziland in Africa, the other one was from South Africa, right? It was all females. So then one of the Chinese teachers that was like assisting me, she ended up moving to New York, right? So she was over there for school. She got a degree from Boston somewhere. Then she went back on the East Coast, for a job. So it's women do the same thing. But I haven't seen nowhere on these podcasts, on YouTube, men really calling that out, right? I don't have a big channel, but I'm like, am I the only one who thinks this? I think the only person who actually said something was like Minister Jap. But before he said anything about it, I said something about it. Now I don't have a large voice or a large platform for it to travel someplace else to other people, but the light bulb kicks on at some point in time when somebody's thinking, when you got a thinking mind, eventually you're gonna say, hey, you know, these hoes, they travel too. They got passports too. They doing freaky shit too. There was a chick that I knew in Thailand, right? There was a white chick. She was from Florida, right? Now, was she hideous in the face? No. But this woman, she didn't watch what she ate. She didn't really work out, right? Um, it was like a tall, blonde white chick, right? Wasn't ugly in the face, but big gut, right? Raggedy hair, right? Crusty feet. She would wear like these flip flops to work. Crusty feet. Only thing she had going on for her was like she had somewhat of a cute face, a bubbly personality, but big titties, right? And man, let me tell you, let me tell you, she will come back, especially after the weekends, and tell us about all the people she fucked over the weekend. Like she just didn't care, right? She would fuck anybody who said hello to her, right? Um, Thai, Korean, Chinese, Vietnamese, Laos. She didn't care. She was like, she would let anybody fuck her, right? If I wanted to hit that, I could have if I wanted to, because I ran into her in the mall once. I could have if I wanted to, but I'm just like, nah, I'm cool, right? So these women, man, when they go to these places, they're single and stuff like that. A lot of them they'll either link up with the locals or they'll link up with other foreigners of their nationality or of their race. All right. I remember when I was in China, I used to hang out in Sanlitun. That's like the foreigner district in Beijing. And I saw one time I just seen like, a bunch of Russians just hanging out with each other. Right. The Russians in the city, in the country, they have a network online, that they gravitate towards. They try to see if there's any other Russian locals in the area, and they link up with each other and they stick together and they try to build with each other. Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong traveling and dating whoever you want to date. There's nothing wrong traveling and living abroad. There is nothing wrong with that. Don't let women shame you when they're doing the same thing. Just because a woman that's shaming you isn't somebody with a passport that's trying to live abroad doesn't mean that there's other women, you know, in America that aren't doing the same thing just as much as men are. They trying to criticize you for the same thing that they're doing, even though it might not be particularly that person who's trying to, call passport bros out. All right. Um, it's and then some of these women they venture out, they travel, and they want to be by themselves. They want to be the only foreigner around. And man, I remember there was so many women in the news who would always get like essayed or raped or unalived, raped and unalived, because they just wanted to venture out on their own. A lot of times, man, women they travel in groups. A lot of black women they like to travel in groups, especially when they go to Caribbean islands. Now they're starting to go to Colombia. There's a video on TikTok of black women walking through a club in Colombia, but they were sorority sisters and they were doing their like sorority sister dance in the club in Colombia, and all the Colombians were just standing around in the club, like looking at them like, man, they were confused. Like, man, what the hell's going on? Y'all probably have seen that video. Go on TikTok and type in, I believe, I don't know, black women Colombian club. You'll see them like it's not they weren't like stepping and taking up a bunch of space. It was kind of like they were walking through the club, in a line. It was like a snake line, walking slowly, doing that, their sorority sister dance. And everybody was just looking at them like, the fuck? This is black women with passports traveling down there as well. I don't see anything wrong with that. I'm not on here trying to shame them. Even, it might have sounded that, like I was shaming women that I met up here in Canada who traveled down to Jamaica just to get ran through by Jamaicans, or traveled down to Trinidad to get ran by Trinidadians. I'm not really judging them, right? I'm not really shaming them. If that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. I did question that woman and told her like, hey, you got to do 20 years younger than you. He gonna get his papers and drop you up here. You too old. you know. But that was my only critique that I had. The only thing that I called out. But other than that, I don't care that they getting passports traveling down there. I'm not angry about that. You got women legit mad and angry and calling men names because they get a passport and they want to travel. And that's why it goes to show that, you know, you can't just say, hey man, a motherfucker gotta deal with me and deal with it over here in America. And if they don't like it, then shit. Stay in the house and jerk off because there's no other woman that doesn't act like this. You just got to get with it. This is 2024. This is who women are. They're more empowered now, loud, proud, and doing the damn thing. And the dating market is this right now. This is what the dating market is. And for a lot of guys, they're saying, nah, that ain't the dating market. Right? That's the dating market here. It ain't the dating market over there. And women don't like that shit. Right? But there are women doing the same thing, right? If y'all been around long enough, y'all remember January 2022, I talked about black women in Korea. I did a whole special talking about black women in Korea. How long was that live stream? That was well over 2 hours. I think that was about 4 hours, tell you the truth. I broke that down to a T. I used different examples from TikTok. And I used a clip from TikTok, and I used the clip as an example, not talking about her. Y'all know that. She knew that, right? She even knew that. She's not dumb. I pulled a video talking about, hey man, this is how women get treated over there. And these are the same type of women who get treated like this that won't even say good morning to a brother over in Asia, right? Because a lot of women with passports, especially black women, they go to these countries and they totally ignore black men, and that's fine. Whatever, do what you do, but to be laser focused on Asian or white men that you want over in Asia, and you don't want a black man, you don't have to be with a black man, but to get angry and suck your teeth and roll your eyes at a black man who just says hello and walking, hey, it is what it is, right? I think that's fucked up, but hey, you know what? I'm not shocked. I'm really not shocked. So I use an example of her video saying, hey, it was a skit that she did where she went to the movies and a dude in the movie theater, I guess she said that the dude had gotten up to use the restroom, but he left the theater and when the movie was out and she came out, there was nobody around. Like, damn, where did he go? And she was looking. It was a funny video, right? It was a funny video, but I'm like, this is real. This is because I've met enough black women in Asia to know, okay, this is how a lot of women get treated over there, right? Um, they talk to them real sexual on these dating apps. Some of them they give them a pass, right? Because it's Asian, it's non-black, right? You get cussed out approaching these women and coming at these women like that, disrespectful in their minds and this, that, and third. If it was a black man, they get cussed out. But since it was Korean, hey, it's okay. They don't know any better. So they go with it. They get ran through 2 or 3 times. These men don't even stay the night. You hear this story all the time. Okay, yeah, it was kind of sexual on the dating app, but I agreed for him to come over. And we're like, okay, let's go out to a park, this, that, and the third. He was like, nah, he insisted on coming over. So I said, okay. And then the dude goes over there, has sex with the woman, right? Doesn't even stay the night. Only there for about an hour. right? Has sex, washes up, relaxes a little bit, leaves. Like, damn, where you going? Oh, I got work in the morning. Well, I thought you only worked on the weekdays. It's the weekend. Now I'm volunteering to work. I'm volunteering to work, right? I've seen plenty of stories on the internet where women were talking about how they got they got smashed by a by some Asian dude who never stayed the night. They only dealt with them for about a month and they left and they on the internet crying, right? I'm like, hey man, do what you do. I laugh at it, but these are women who travel abroad. I'm like, hey, if hopefully you find what it is that you're looking for. Not shitting on you, not shaming you, but you are a woman with a passport abroad and you letting men take all the heat. They don't stand up for us. They don't say, hey, why are women out west shitting on men with passports? I'm a woman over here with a passport. You know, I'm not saying to shit on me, but don't shame them because we're doing the same thing. None of these women stand up for us, right? None of these women say anything, right? So, from what I've seen, I mean, I'm telling you, like, there's this one company I work with in Thailand, and uh, we had a orientation, right? And orientation is always every year it takes place. Every year orientation takes place at in at this big building that they have. I forget exactly the location, but you go there, it's like damn, it's like 50, 60 people in a room, right? Teaching in Thailand, and dude, like half the room is females. Some of them are older females, some of them are young females, right? And and if when these type of discussions come up, if people only brought this up, if women only knew, because women, they got this code where they fake try to look out for each other, right? White women, they'll look out for each other, then they fake try to look out for black women if it means to denigrate and to shit on a black man, then they'll stand up for that. They'll side with a black woman only to shit on a black man. That's the only time, right? They don't stand next to a black woman to shit on a white man or an Asian man. If the Asian man or the white man was in the wrong, no. If the woman's in the wrong and there's a black man involved, they'll join in with the black woman in her delusion just to shit on a black man, right? So it could further divide each other, right? And for her to keep up the delusion with shitting on your man and distancing your man, keep it up, girlfriend. Keep on, shitting on your man so that you can further stay away from them, because we're giving you enough rope to hang yourself. No pun intended. But anyways, it's like, and out here, it's just as many women, just as many women. Now, do women go back out west faster than men? Yes. Women will stay out here, they'll stay overseas for 6 months to a year and then eventually go back home, right? Especially black women, right? Why? Because look here, and this is my opinion. Anybody could travel if they want to, especially women. Get your passport, travel, see the world, do whatever it is that you do. Do what you do whatever you want to do to make yourself happy. I don't give a shit if you want to date ladies, if you want black women, if to make yourself happy, do that. If you want to date an Asian man to make yourself happy, do that. If you want to date your own men to make yourself happy, do that. If you want to date the same sex and that makes you happy, do that. Right? If you want to go vegan and that makes you happy, do that. If you want to get on a carnivore diet and that makes you happy, do that. Right? If you want to work at a grocery store and stock groceries and then come home and play video games all day and then go to sleep, do the same thing over day in and day out and be obsessed with video games, and that makes you happy, do that. I don't give a shit what anybody does. I'm not out here shitting on women just because they made the choice that they want to get a passport and travel somewhere. Men aren't bothering women when it comes to that. It's the other way around. These women are being vocal, shitting on men. Here you are being masculine, loud, rude, aggressive, fucked up, but then at the same time, you want men, but you shit on men, right? It's it's crazy. But if that's what makes you happy, if ladies want to get a passport and travel abroad, do what makes you happy. Now, as far as black women, they're one of the main ones. I'm like, hey, look, you want to get a passport, do what you do. I don't care. But at the same time, I'm like, that's kind of a downgrade, right? Because a white woman can go to Asia, South America, or Africa, or Caribbean, and be able to get the results that they want from men, local men, right? You see this in Asia. A white woman will show up, blonde hair, blue eyes, pretty face, and oh, the world is her oyster over there. It's a come up. All the girls want to be her friend. All the guys want to sleep with her, right? Any job she wants, they give it to her. Can't speak a lick of, accent is heavy as hell. I remember there was this chick from Scotland. Her accent was so damn heavy, but the school still wanted her, right? But when black women go someplace, it's like that's interesting to me, right? So let's use Asian country for example. You go to an Asian country and you distance yourself from black men. You're like, nope, fuck black men. I'm not speaking to them. I'm not saying hello to them. I'm not hooking up with them. I'm ignoring them. I'm acting like they don't exist. I'm rude to them if they even try speaking to me. Okay, and I don't want to get too deep into that because I got plenty of stories of black women who were very, very disrespectful towards me in Asia when for no reason. But that's neither here nor there, right? I'm ignore the men from my community, the warrior class from my community. I'm going to ignore them, and I'm gonna come over here, make less, right? Your dating options is almost non-existent, right? Because the white guys, they're either with their women or they're trying to get with, the local women. A lot of women skip over a lot of guys skip over black women. The guys that they're interested in, they skip over them in Asia. I mean, go on YouTube and type in black women's dating life in Korea, Japan, Vietnam, anywhere. Nothing positive. You might have one or two here and there that got married and they're living good. I remember this chick, right? Me and her kind of went back and forth on Instagram once. I remember this chick. She went to she went to Korea, right? And she tried making a YouTube channel talking about dating life and everything, and try to blow up in Korea. And things didn't things didn't pan out the way she wanted it to. But she was saying that she had a boyfriend back home. I'm like, you got a boyfriend back home? She had a boyfriend back home. I'm like, He didn't come with you to Korea? No. So you have your boyfriend back home is a black man? Yes. Apparently, he didn't know shit about black women in Korea. All right. He should have dropped. If I'm dating a black woman in America, right? If I'm dating a black woman in America and she tells me, all right, I'm gonna go to Korea for a little while, whether it's to be an exchange student for a year, 2 years, or just to travel over there and live abroad for a little while to find herself, you're welcome to visit. We're still together. We FaceTime this, that, and the third. A black woman I'm dating and she wants to go to Korea and still say we're together and I'm in America, I'm dropping her right there. Because Korea to black women is like Thailand, the Philippines, Colombia, Brazil to men. All right. And one of my homies, he was trying to move from Japan to Korea, so he kept on traveling to Korea. And he was like, "No, I'm definitely moving over here. I'm definitely moving over here." And he ran into her, right? Because I shared a video once, and he was like, "Dude, I met that chick in Itaewon the other night." I was like, "For real?" He said, "Yeah." But like it was her and a group of girls, and I'm speaking to them. I approached the group, right, just to speak. It was her, and it was like a group of three white girls, and he approached the group just to spark up conversation. The three white girls were interested in what he had to say, but he said the black chick was like annoyed when she saw him, rolled her eyes, and she sucked her teeth and walked away. I'm like, damn, she did that for real? He was like, yes, right? Then he's like, I ran into her on a different night and she was all up on them Korean dudes. I'm like, she said that she had a dude back home. I was like, hey, man, that brother better know that she over here busting it open for these, these Korean guys out here. You know what I'm saying? So if that's what she wanted to do, she's not married, right? The dude that she was with wasn't up on game as to how women give it up, especially black women give it up when they go to Korea, right? If that's what you want to do and if that makes you happy, I'm not on here shitting or shaming on women. I educate because I do have experience. I travel. I bring up topics to educate. I don't bring up topics all the time to shit or shame on women. I don't give a damn what a woman does or who she gives it up to when she travels abroad. I only talk about what I see, right? And I'm informative. I want people to come to me because they say, hey, that brother has knowledge. He knows what he's talking about. Um, okay, Daddy Showem is still putting up comments. Let me read them. When I went to Canada in the early 2000s, it was a dating paradise. Can't speak on it now, but with social media, it's probably worse now, unfortunately. Yeah, when I first moved over here, it was a tail end of like I came to Canada in its last glory days of online dating when online dating was good. You know what I'm saying? 2009, you can literally get on Facebook and approach any chick on Facebook from any city, any part of the country, and you would get a response, add each other, follow each other, like each other. You would get a response more than likely about 65 to 70% of the women you approached on the internet, you could spark up a conversation at that time because people were just trying to build up popularity to make themselves look more important than what they really were on Facebook. So I used to go to you know um, Saskatchewan, and I would just have women lined up, just in case. I really want to see this person, but just in case, I know this person. Just in case, I know that person. And just in case these three or four don't fall through, I know this person. But I'm gonna start from the top of the list and work my way down. That's how it was, on Facebook back in 2009, 2010, 2011. It started to go downhill 2013. That's when I started to see a paradigm shift on the internet, right? On online dating, or not even like a dating website, but just like Facebook and shit. That's when it really changed, like 2013, right? And it hasn't been the same ever since, right? But he's absolutely right. I could only imagine how it was in like 2000, 2001. Most of these countries don't like black people. You're usually just a sexual fetish for them. There was a guy I know that moved to Asia. He slept almost every local woman in his building, but they would never dare be seen with him in public, only at night when nobody was around. There's a clown in Japan telling his viewers how much they love all black men. He is delusional. Well, my thing is this. I don't know why anybody that lives in Japan, if you live in Japan, you need to have a YouTube channel and a camera, right? Like to take videos and photos. If I was living in Japan, I would have 3 Instagram pages. I would have 3 YouTube channels. I would have a website. I would have a Patreon. If I lived in Japan, that's way too easy. Because look here, I was thinking about buying a Sony camera, and I'm like, where am I gonna go? Like, what can I take pictures of? Because I like photography. For those that know me, I love photography. Whenever I travel to like Singapore, Taiwan, Japan, I would take thousands of pictures. All right. I literally have thousands of pictures in the stash. I've lost thousands of pictures also. But whenever I would um post anything up about Japan, right, it would just go viral. Whenever I would post photography, whenever I would look up photography on a certain Sony camera that I want, all the sample photos, a lot of, well, I won't say all of them, but a lot of sample photos would come from Japan. Go on Instagram right now and look up, like just type in anything about Japan, like Osaka, Tokyo, whatever, in a little search engine on Instagram. All those photos and videos that come up, they have thousands of likes on it, thousands of comments. All right, but take pictures of Wyoming and post it up on the internet. Nobody gives a shit. Take pictures of even some of these major cities, like in Denver, Texas, right? And it is not like an interesting, you're not informing people about like the food or the places to eat, how much it costs, the cost of living, stuff like that. If you're not doing that on TikTok or on Instagram in a local city in America, nobody gives a shit about it. But Japan, it just goes. Japan, it goes, right? You know, eating at a restaurant in Japan, you put the right hashtags on it, it goes. If you have a camera and you do, walking through Tokyo in 4K videos, they get thousands, not millions of views. They get hundreds of thousands of views, millions of views, right? You don't have to say nothing. You just walk around with a camera. If you do ASMR videos, like let's say it's raining in Tokyo one day, you live in the city, you put the camera, facing outside of the window while it's raining for like about 4 to 8 hours, right? Let your camera go. Let it record for like 4 to 8 hours. Outside, ASMR, Tokyo rain. You will get millions of views. I don't, but you know, most of the guys that I'm in a group chat with, they don't have nothing. They're just living out their days in Japan. I'm like that blows my mind. Just a few days ago, I saw a girl in the Philippines that lives in a hut, literally doing a live stream of guys kissing her ass, telling how beautiful and amazing she was, below average at best. Man, I was on. I used to be on Pina Love. That's like a dating app in the Philippines. Filipino women, they approach brothers heavy on these dating apps in the Philippines, but they'll have like little selfies and they'll show, you know, their room and their background in these selfies and they'll post them up on Pina Love. And the way they live it's crazy. You see these cinder blocks and you know, and they live in a shanty town with a phone, and it's. I mean, that's reality. That's how it is over there. But yeah, like women now, they get in the bag over there. This internet shit, it's changed a lot of people's lives. So I ain't mad at them for that. Get your money. The '90s and early 2000s, dating was fun. Now to call it a freak show that words cannot even describe. Just picked up the Rode Wireless Mic 2, trying to improve audio quality and eliminate wind noise. Got cold shoe mount for Insta360 and Sony A4 camera. Hey Matt, I was seriously thinking about buying a Sony A7 IV, and I you know with my schedule and everything, I'm like, what can I take a picture of out here? You know what I'm saying? Like going to Korea, Singapore, Taiwan, Japan, it was way too easy. Like if I was still in Asia, it would be a no-brainer for me to get a Sony camera. But now I'm like, I just had to. I'm like, why not just save my money? I was thinking about buying the Rode camera, so like when I'm working, you guys can hear me clearly. Like I can do lives while I'm driving. I was literally thinking about doing that, right? But um, them little square microphones, y'all know what I'm talking about. They're pretty decent, so I'm gonna have to see how well it works on the phone with StreamYard and look up some YouTube videos on that. And the quality sounds good. I'm gonna pick them up once I get back. Things changed so much. I remember in the '90s, early 2000s, seeing guys approach women literally every day in the streets. Now I almost never see it. You're right. I remember the nightclub. If you were in a relationship, you and your girl either went together or you didn't go at all. Right? You could not go to a nightclub on your own back in those times. Right? Women kind of knew what went down at the clubs. It was a hookup spot. Now the club ain't a hookup spot no more. Um, to be honest, work, a woman's job is a hookup spot. Women are meeting these dudes like, especially if they travel, or like if they came up, if they were born and raised and living and working in the same city they were born and raised in, then they know enough people, right? But if they move to a new city, a new state, man, a hookup spot is either online or it's at work. You know, it's at work. You know, just hooking up at the club. That's the thing in the past. Like I hear guys still talking about that shit. Like, you know, guys with a little bit of money, they feel like, and when I go to the club, I got to get a bottle, I got to get a table, I got to do this, I got to have this huge presentation in order to attract women over. That shit is a thing in the past, man. Don't nobody give a fuck about your table and your drinks. Megatron, I'm shocked. A lot of these guys talk about having multiple income streams. I can't tell the last time I've seen a man and woman holding hands in public. People only. Nah, I see people holding hands. Like when I was with my lady, I wouldn't hold hands all the time, but we just walk side by side. But nah, that's not true. I see people walking side by side holding hands or dating and they walking with their girl in public places all the time. I really believe robots AI is the future. I give it a few years, I think will be a huge demand for it. Yeah, but you know, women with passports, they like to have fun too. They like to travel too. Some of these people feel like, hey, some of these women they feel like, I don't belong over here. Some people, some women they finding themselves too. A lot of single mothers with passports traveling abroad also, right? Living abroad in another country, far, far away from the father, right? You see that too. So don't let don't let none of this shit get to you. Don't let none of this shit fool you. These women, they're doing the same thing. All right. Um, that's why a lot of guys don't take too many women seriously. That's why when a woman starts talking, that shit goes through one ear and out the other because you're being disingenuous all the time. It's like women, their strength, it's like they can't physically overpower a man. You know what I'm saying? They have penis envy. They can't overpower a man. They were raised by a heartless mother that didn't really show them too much love. They have abandonment issues with their father, neglectful issues from their mothers, mommy issues, right? Grew up in these fucked up environments, and they're very masculine out here in the world. Never seen a father mother dynamic in the household, right? And so, in order to show, they think, okay, in order to be strong as a woman, you got to be like a man, but it's a cosplay version of what they think a man is. And when you just saying shit with the need to be right, nobody takes you seriously. Use logic. To get respect, for a woman to get respect out of a man, or to be in good, good company with a man, you're gonna have to be honest, take accountability, and use logic. You know what I'm saying? Those three things, obviously be feminine, but those three things will get you far. When you shaming guys with passports traveling abroad, you're being very disingenuous. These bitches out here going to the Caribbean islands, going to Africa, getting ran through. All right. Now, women in their circle and their age group, are they traveling like trying to do the same thing some of these other women are doing? No, because and that brings me back to what I said earlier. Why would, especially a black woman, if you're young, why would you want to live abroad? Why would you go to Asia? Right? I look at black women in Asia, I'm like, you get so much more in America, right? You ain't gotta watch your weight. You ain't even really gotta watch your mouth. You find you a dude, right, who's making decent money, marry him, have kids. If he doesn't do what you say, you can divorce him, get his money, get the house, get child support, get alimony, you get all that. Right? He doesn't come up with the money, you get the satisfaction of putting him in jail. Right? Government daddy gives you, that sense of power in America. Why would you give all that up to go to an Asian country where anti-blackness is real? Motherfuckers don't want to be seen with you in public. It's a it's a patriotic, patriarchy is how the country is ran. Strict rules, you know, um, strict rules, strict unwritten rules, right? High standards, very, very high standards. And even if you do fit, even if you wear your own hair, natural beauty, and you meet the weight requirements, it's still you're black at the end of the day. You cannot erase your blackness, right? Being seen with you in public, that's like a huge problem. It's a huge issue. It's like a lot of these guys, it's they don't they don't want you. They just want to fuck you, and it's like it's way worse than what it is in America. So I'm like, and then you end up pregnant or whatever. You can't hit a local Korean man up for um for child support and alimony and this that. The government ain't gonna grant you that, right? Hell, for you to even go to the courts to even want to get that, you have to know his real name. A lot of y'all are giving a fake name and a cacao screen name. You don't know his number, you don't know his address, and the authorities ain't gonna help you gather up all that information so you can go to court and get your just due. So you're better off. You women, they don't know how good they got it in America, But like I said, I'm not judging. Do what makes you happy with a passport. But what makes a lot of women happy is getting up on the internet, being masculine, shitting on the men that they want. you know, it's like, and you wonder why life doesn't go through with you. The more masculine you are, the more masculine a woman is. I don't give a damn what you do, whether you stay in America, whether you travel abroad, whether you visit or you live abroad. When you conduct yourself in a masculine way, it don't matter if you soft spoken or if you dress feminine, if if you're not submissive, cooperative, right? And they know how to be that because they're that, there's a lot of women, especially black women, they know how to be submissive and cooperative with non-black men. So just go to TikTok and type in black wife effect. You'll see a bunch of cooperative black women who are married to white guys. So they know how to be submissive, cooperative, right? You know, traveling abroad, right? Um, Traveling abroad, I forgot what point I was gonna make. My mind's all over the place. But the thing about it is, man, is like, yeah, this is what I was gonna say. All right. No matter where you go, no matter what race you are, let me take black women out of it. No matter what race you are, black, white, Hispanic, Asian, if you are masculine around men anywhere you go, you are not gonna do well. And your dating life is gonna be shit. Your your dating life with the opposite sex is going to be shit, right? Nature is gonna bite you in the ass regardless, whether you like it or not. So, all right, I have women in my own family, lonely as hell, always trying to use me to do something for them, not my job. Exactly. I'm the same way. I don't give a damn who you are. If you fucking, I'm gonna say, even my own mother, I keep her at a distance, right? I keep it brief. You want me to tell you something? My mother, like, she's married, right? My mother, she's been with my dad. They've been married 41, 42 years now. So, I mean, my mother and father, they're still married. But the thing is, um, I'm not saying this because you mentioned lonely women. My mother's not a lonely woman, but my mom sometimes has the need to be right without fact checking anything. Um, just real weird, doesn't really use logic when she speaks a point, um, wants to be loud and right. You know what I'm saying? Typical black woman behavior, but she has a husband. And my dad, he's like, when it comes to my mother, it's just the position he's in. I don't want to be that, right? Um, I'm gonna say this, like even my own mother, I keep a distance. I bought an iPhone back in when I came back. I came back to America October of 2022. All right. When I got back, I got the iPhone 14 Pro Max. That was the latest, hottest phone at the time, right? Because I had like a Google Pixel 4 XL. Now they're on the Google 8, right? Pixel 8. And I went from an Android, and I really liked my Android, back to an iPhone. And I said, man, what the fuck? I should have never got this iPhone. I should go back to Android, but I just purchased this phone, and I was like, oh, okay. All right. So my family, I added them to a group chat. And boy, let me tell you, I've had, I'm not gonna say what was said that made me say I had enough of them dealing with them. Cause I live up the street from them. You know what I'm saying? When I'm back in town, I don't even go visit like that. I visit like every couple of months, right? I don't visit every time I'm back in town. Not even every other week, right? If there are people in your family, even if it's your own mother, your own father, your own brother, your sister, man, your peace is more important. That doesn't mean you got to cut them off cold turkey, but keep an arm's distance from them. You know what I'm saying? So I bought an Android phone. It'll arrive at home on Wednesday. When I get back to town, I'm taking myself out of that group chat and I'm saying, hey, got an Android phone, don't have iMessage no more, no more group chat. Y'all got my number, hit me up directly. And when I'm not busy, I'll message you back. Boom. Because when I was in Asia, I just didn't let them. I told them to download the app to contact me, but I didn't just let them. I wasn't in no group chat with them. You know what I'm saying? Even women in your own family, you got to keep a distance. You might love them to get family members, but you know, I'm quick to say no to my mother. I'm quick to say no. Don't speak to me like that. No this, no that, no this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? You talk to your husband like that. You don't talk to me like that. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'll make my presence a thing in the past if I'm not respected, even by my own family members. She tries to get me to go around her side of the family all the time, right? And I don't do it. I don't do it. For years, she's been begging me to call them, hang out with them, go visit them. I tell her no, I'm not going over there, right? For reasons I'm not going to put on the internet. But yeah, I'm big on keeping my distance and you know relishing in my peace, even if it costs me like even if that means I have to make less, right? In income. Your peace is important. Your safety is important. You know. Um, yeah, exactly. Enjoy your stupid career and cat. Yeah, yeah. Women, right? And the whole thing about shaming women for not having a man, that's a thing in the past. Uh, Now, guys, at one point in time, guys were saying, hey, you know, women, this is how we feel. You're very masculine. You're attacking us. We're on the same side as you. We don't know why you're so angry at us. And you're lonely. You're single. How about let's getting back to how we used to be feminine so that we could build these families and build these communities. Now it's like, how dare you tell a woman what to do? Fuck you. Who are you? You ain't shit. You're not no millionaire. I got millionaires in my DMs and this is that and the third. So then guys have just been like, all right, fine. We tried to reconcile with y'all. It's not working. So what do guys do? They're like, fuck it. I'm going over here to this other community. I'm getting my passport. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I'm focusing on me. Now it's like, and then lately women have been coming out shitting on guys who want to get the fuck away from them. And women don't say, hey, you know what? Why is our men trying to get the fuck away from us? Right? What can we do to, what's the solution behind this? How can we get back to where we used to be? They're not even doing that. It's just more shaming tactics, shitting on brothers, this, that, and the third. So brothers have gotten their passports, but it's like you're throwing shaming tactics at guys, and women are doing the same thing. Like women are traveling, seeing guys, dating guys from other races. Women are literally doing the same thing. So I'm like, I don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all are doing the same thing. You don't shit on other women for doing that, and I'm not saying you should, but you shouldn't shit on men. Uh, The internet is just a shit on men fest. Fuck men, shit on men fest. That's all it is, right? How can we shit on a man today? How can we, by not making ourselves accountable, how can we throw the negative things we're doing onto a man and shit on him and shame him for what we're doing, right? It's my mom keeps forcing me to do favors for her lonely friends, drive the place and help them move, and in return I get nothing but stress and she doesn't get it. My mom could never get me to help out one of her friends with anything. Yeah, she said, "Hey, my friend, she's moving and she needs help. No mail to help her out. Can you help her?" I would say no. She works, pays some movers. Where is her man at? She ain't got one. Tough. I'm not the man to do that. And my mom, she doesn't. If I tell her no over something, she's never asked me for that. But if I tell my mom no over something like that, she never really pushes the line or anything. She might ask for my opinion as to why I won't do it, and I'll tell her, right? You got to start teaching the youth, meaning you got to start. There's other little girls in the neighborhood that you got to show this is you when you want to be masculine and compete with a man. Because it's not, you know, John Doe and Jane Doe, John Doe plus Jane Doe. It's John Doe versus Jane Doe now. They making it a versus, a battle. I'm like, I'm not trying to battle with women. Women are always like, I was listening to, I hate to admit this, but I was listening to Gary Owen um interview with Vlad TV. I never liked Gary Owen. Gary Owen has been around, especially in the comic view days, ever since he was in his early 20s. I never liked him because I don't like, he didn't grow up around black people at all. And I hate when people like him just pander to black people. They think they're funny just pandering to black people all day, but it's insulting, right? He even said like he was the one that filed for divorce against his wife, which the reports said something else, but oh well, that's what he said. I'm gonna go with it. He said like, man, they were just going back and forth. Like their lawyers were just going back and forth. He was paying half of her lawyer fees. And then he's just like, and the only thing that they would do in the contracts, it was change a word. But every time they sent an email, it was like hundreds of dollars. And they just kept going back and forth to kind of change a word up here and there in the contract. But he's like, I'm still paying them, and it's just like a tit for tat going back and forth in emails, and it just costing me money and money every single time. And he's just like, I know what they're doing here. They're just trying to drain us of money. That's all it is, right? They'll use trauma and a breakup and kind of feed bullshit in the woman's head, like, hey, you know, don't let this person get over on you. I can help you do this. This is what they put in the contract. Let me change this up in the third. And it's just, you know, it just keeps going back and forth in every email that's sent. It's just costing hundreds of dollars. So he's just like, man, fuck this. I'm going to just contact her directly. So he contacted his ex-wife directly and said, hey, you know what? Look, I'm not trying to get over on you. I see what's going on here with the lawyers. Let me just, give you this. I pay you this monthly, right? And um, I'll give you separation pay, this, that, and the third. You can have this, this, and the third. And this is what I do for you. I'm not trying to screw you over or anything like that. And she was just like, I don't know. And he was like, what? He's just like, I really feel you're trying to get over on me on this. And it's like, man, somebody who uses logic versus somebody who uses their emotions to think, man, trust the person who uses logic because they're not trying to get over on you, especially if you're dealing with a man, right? And it's just, if I had somebody around who was smarter than me, man, I would trust that person's word on the majority of certain things, especially, the decision making, because it's like, hey, this person's smart. I trust them. I'm gonna let them do their thing. Women don't think like that. You want somebody who's smart, a man, a leader, and then when you get one, it's like all toxic masculinity. Fuck him. You know, I'm gonna I'm gonna get over on him before he gets over on me, and it's like the paranoia is insane. And one has an abusive husband, but I'm supposed to do favors for her. And I get nothing, and she goes back to kissing her abusive ass. Okay, damn if you do or don't is the average life of a black man. Family can be the worst. Yeah, Megatron is absolutely right. Like, if you're a man of a certain age and your mother's still alive and she's saying that you don't have a wife or kids or any baby mamas and you're single, childless, they don't like that. They don't like that. They'll be like, well, you can't be lonely in this. I'm like, I could do whatever the fuck I want to do. You know what I'm saying? I could do whatever I want to do. Right? That kind of chaps your own mother. That kind of chaps their ass when you a single black man with no kids. They don't like that. It's like, you got a husband. What you worried about me for? You haven't you haven't like introduced me to no women up out of here. So who are you to decide, to tell me what I should do in my decision making with the women that's out here? You not dating these women out here. You wouldn't dare deal with these women out here if you were a man. So, you know, I'm like, I told my mom I wouldn't even deal with you if we was in the same age range. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that's my mother. I wouldn't deal with nobody like her. You know, marriage, kids, man, that's for the birds. That is for the birds. These women, shit. You think you got look at Angry Man. What was that dude's name? Angry Man Reactions. He's not even on TikTok no more because his baby mama, white chick, just switched up on him one day. He was just like, "Yo, people told me he's like my family told me about this girl." And he's like, "No, that's not her. Like she's nothing like that. Like this is a sweet girl right here. She's nothing like that." Boy, was he wrong because that chick put the laws on him. She took his son, moved out the state. His son is, in a totally different country. She's slandered his name, lied on him, uh, did the Russell Simmons treatment. Remember when Russell Simmons' daughter was on live and recorded the live or recorded the FaceTime and then muted it? And it looked like, he was kind of like being a dad and disciplining his daughter. And she was like kind of sad in the video, crying, I think. But she muted it and wouldn't play what he was saying. She did the same thing to him, took him to court. He got found not guilty. Charges were dropped, and the drive that he had, it just died. And he is not on social media no more. I never watched his content like that. I would see him every once in a while on like the explore page, and I was just like, I wasn't interested in it, but he had a following, right? And people would, use their art. People would use their art, like they're creative. People were very creative at making artwork of him, right? I'll admit it was very creative. Man, it took a woman to just take the drive away from this dude, to take the inspiration away from this dude. Like court, being arrested, going back and forth to court, hiring lawyers, not being able to see his son, not being able to FaceTime with his son. It's so draining. It's like, man, I don't even want to do this shit no more. And I've said this before, women, they want, especially in America, they don't want families. They want kids. They want you to give them a baby so that when they feel like the kid is like 2, 3 years old, they have a fucking attitude for nothing. And you're like, man, hold on, like where's this coming from? Then you being a man, you're like, okay, I gotta check this. You check it, it just gets worse. Then all of a sudden they leave, they put government daddy on you, get you in handcuffs, and your life is ruined from there. And it's like, no. Because now babies out of wedlock, it is not a big deal in culture, in Western culture anymore. See the woman need help lifting something heavy. Then she looks at me. I just walk past her. Not my job. I'm not your man, and wouldn't do for me. Good luck. I'm not gonna lie. I've done that before. I have done that before. Marriage is trash nowadays. Yes. Adriel, first of his name, salute. Ralston Woods, salute. I'm not gonna lie. I'll admit I've done that before. Like, um, within my profession, I don't run into a lot of women. Um, I have very little patience now than before. You know, when I was a younger adult, and let's say I go to the grocery store, right, and there's a woman ringing up my groceries, whatever it is that I'm buying. I'll have the short conversation with that person every time I go back to the store. I go down to her aisle, speak to her, how she's doing, get her name, ask about how life is going, this and the third, because she was a nice person, right? Older. Now I'm like, look here, you know, every time I go to this one truck stop in Wyoming, this woman works behind the counter. She rings me up every single time. She wants to have small talk. I literally don't say anything because I'm like, look here, you old, you know, excuse me, you old. I don't want to have conversation with you. I don't want. you know, I don't want to get to know you. I don't want the conversation going left. I don't want you accusing me of some shit that I didn't say. Just ring up my shit and let's go. I'm on that type of time. If you a dude and you want to chop it up, it better be about some money. If it ain't about money, I don't want to speak to you. All right. If you a chick, you gotta be younger than 30, in shape, and you gotta look good with no kids, and you gotta look good, and your mind gotta be right with no tattoos. Then we can have a conversation. This 60, 70-year-old chick that always wants to have small talk, these older women, what do you want? What do you want? That's why I don't know if you guys follow me on the Facebook group. Well, not follow me, but if I don't know if you guys are joining the Facebook group chat. I posted up a video like a few weeks ago of a guy. It was in the UK. It was just some skit. You could tell it was an old skit, and he would go around helping women in the city that needed assistance. One woman, she was moving and she was carrying like a fish tank down the street full of fish and water, and he was just like, "Oh man, let me get that for you." No woman, needs to be carrying such a heavy item down the street. She's like, "Oh, thank you. I wish the world was filled with more men like you." And I'm moving. This is that and the third. He goes, "Oh, okay. Where should I follow you to drop off this fish tank?" "Oh, yeah, up here. Yeah, I'm moving in with my boyfriend." Soon as the women would say boyfriend, he would drop. he dropped the fish tank and it shattered, and then he's like, "Fuck you," and then he walked away, right? And then there was another chick. She was walking a dog, and he was like, "Oh, he's like, oh man, let me walk with you, help you walk your dog, just standing there." She's like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Which direction you going?" He's like, "Oh," she's like, "I'm going over here." "Okay, yeah, yeah." Later on, I just want to walk the dog so I can go back home to my boyfriend. Then he would kick the dog. He was like, "Man, fuck you," and then kick the dog. No, I'm not in it, besides abusing animals or anything like that, or damaging anybody's property. Man, I'm kind of like that, man. If you're not cooperative, feminine, you not under 30, and you talking to me, what do you want to talk about? No, I don't want to have small talk with you. Bye. Ring my shit up. Let's go. I'm on that type of time now because it's like everybody has a phone and recording everybody. They're trying to shame people. They want to use you for content. It's like, hey, either get to the point or get lost. Sad reality is that most of these women are just selfish users, and most importantly, they have nothing to offer but baggage, and they would try to dump on you. Yeah, there's a reason most men and inmates have a better dating life than a man with a good job and education. Yeah, that's why I like some of these podcasts when they talk about in order for a man to date a woman who's ever being interviewed, he has to make this much money. It's some outrageous number, like $2 million a year and shit like that. And then these guys, they go back and forth with them. The host will literally go back and forth with them. And these women, they have kids by men who don't make anywhere near that amount. Um, these women, their exes were people who didn't make anywhere near that amount, right? They don't even date or have kids with average men. They get with below average men. I've told you guys, like, every chick that I've dated or messed around with, when I asked about their exes, it was I've never met a chick. I never messed around with a chick whose ex was like a stand up average. I never messed around with a chick. And when I asked about the ex, they never told me about some, you know, well earning pause, a good earning stand up guy. Never heard that. It was always some guy who broke, dusty, you know, living off of her, I'm telling you, I've never ever in life heard a woman that I messed around with be with a stand up guy. Say that the ex was stand up. Never. Right. And these guys on these podcasts, they argue with women. I'm like, what are you arguing for? These women, they don't have kids by the stand. That's why Kevin Samuels show, when they asked about, oh, okay, how many kids you got? 3. Okay, so how much did the baby daddy make? Nothing. Well, where's he at? In jail? It's like, and you want a guy making this much money to take care of you, this, that, and that? No, man, you want a lifestyle. What does he get by being with you? It's these women, they don't want nobody with money. Because a dude with money, you don't want to hear shit he has to say. Clyde said it best. I'm not gonna say the N word, but it's like when a dude is broke, bitch talk to him any kind of way. But when he's on his dick, meaning when he came up and he got money now, a bitch don't want to hear shit he gotta say. So it's you know you don't see these women with stand up guys like that. I've never seen it. I'm not saying they don't exist because women who got their mind right and they meet a decent stand up dude who's you know um you know a higher earner, they don't let him go, or they don't let him go to the point where he's simpish enough to want to move this chick in, get married, have kids, and then that's when they fuck him over. They get a divorce. The self checkout has become my best friend, little to no human contact to keep me safe as I'm checking out. Exactly, yeah, same here. But unfortunately, at this spot in Wyoming, they don't have self checkout, and it's like my favorite, spot to go to in Wyoming. And this chick is just like, okay, right? And the young girls there, they're like obese, So it's like, no, I don't want to have small talk with you. I don't want to know about, how life was when you were growing up. I'm not giving you any sort of attention. I'm letting it be known. No, ma'am, you're old. Right? She might have a husband. She just talk to everybody like that. I ain't one of the ones. I ain't got the patience no more to have small talk with nobody. Because it's women of all ages shitting on men in public and on social media. You know, so so it's like, hey, you know, if I don't deem you fuckable and all the other things on the list don't check off, I don't want to have a conversation with you about anything unless it's about money. I saw a YouTube video the other day with a big drug dealers, and he said the college educated women love them the most in their drug dealing days. Yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah, yeah, we all know that. Hell, I just saw another video. The girl driving her boyfriend home from prison. She opened the door for him, bought her a meal, and went to get him new clothes. You can't make this stuff up. Yeah, there's a thing now. Like one of my homies, like he gets this all the time, where he dates women with kids, right? And I don't date women with kids, but the shit he goes through with some of these women with kids, it's insanity. Women, I mean, this been going on, but women will lie and be like, "Oh, the baby daddy, he's a stand-up guy. He's good, educated. This is that and the third, and like, he's not a thug, anything like that. I'm not even into thugs, and that shit is just such a turn off. It's so bad for the neighborhood. This is that and the third. They'll tell them all this shit, right, in the getting to know each other stage, and then as time goes along, the chick will be aggressive towards him, abusive towards him, abusive. He sees that she's abusive towards the child, right? Always asking for money, begging for stuff. And then, he'll mess around and meet the baby daddy one day, and it's a dude with like tattoos all over his neck, face, hands. It's like, man, you should like you said this dude was a square who wasn't thuggish, who far from a thug in this set and third, and find more stuff about the dude in and out of jail. Like, so a lot of women are lying about, the past dudes they dealt with, the baby daddies, and the caliber of male that person was, just to get a sucker to kind of reel a sucker in, to tricking on them. And then when things don't work out and she moves on, like for example, that one dude I was telling you about, the same shit happened to him. I mean, it's happening many times, but one situation that happened to him, but he was still like following the girl on social media and shit like that. So she sees her new dude. He sees her new dude, and the new dude is like not even from the city, dude from Chicago. You look on his page, there's a gun in every photo, right? Um, then there's prison bids, pictures of him in prison and this, that, and the third. And then, a couple of months later, he's telling me like, look at this picture, and this bitch pregnant by this dude now. I'm like, first of all, why are you still following her? And second, it's like, women, I've had a few women lie on their coochie about me, telling girls that we did something and we never did anything. Women lie on their coochie. Women lie on their cat. Now women are lying on their baby daddies. Women lie on their exes. it's weird out here. They want a man making 250K and a baby daddy working at the warehouse. Hell, I mean there's nothing wrong working at the warehouse. It's just their baby daddy is not even working. That's the thing. The baby daddy is selling lean out of baby bottles. That's what the baby daddy's doing. The baby daddy's a lean dealer. Of course, that's all many of women in their 20s. They be going to school to be a dentist or a nurse, dating scammers and drug dealers. Did you say you're in Wyoming? Is the scenery as good as I heard? I'm in and out of Wyoming, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. Most black women don't even date other black men in college like that. And that's another video I'm gonna have to do. This whole thing about this fake outrage behind black women mad at brothers for dating outside their race and the athletes and the entertainers. That is bullshit. Ever since I was a kid in the 90s, man, I've always seen black women messing around with white dudes. You know what I'm saying? So that's but here we go again. You point the finger at one guy, and there's a bunch of y'all, a bunch of these women that are getting dug out by non-black men. So I mean, you look on TikTok right now, type in "black wife effect," like one of the videos, and TikTok has this thing. If you like one video, they're gonna show you every other video after that is gonna be from the same person that you click like on, or the same type of content. That black wife effect, you like two or three of those videos all day, scrolling, flip up that video. You're gonna hear that $1 Million Baby song. That's what they play in the background. Y'all know that $1 Million Baby song on the black wife effect in the background is they just keep on using that same song. So it's don't let these women shit on you. And 'cause we know brothers, it ain't a white thing. It's just like, hey man, like this chick, she she's the woman that I need now. Like she's making the effort. She's feminist. She's actually at least she's doing a decent job at being a woman. Like you know, a lot of women like y'all. They think because they don't tell you no, when it comes to sex, that's just being a woman. And it's like, no, I mean, yes, we want sex, but it's like, man, like I remember my ex-wife used to tell me that, like, oh, I don't ever say no. And it's just like, no, it's and it's just a total. I don't have anything negative to say about her. I'm leaving that alone. But guys, y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, it's just a totally different generation. Um, the shit we're saying on the internet, they've never seen it. They don't even know what you're talking about. Feminine women, they don't know what you're talking about. So, like, you know, so it's like it's not my job and it's not your job to teach females how to be women, right? And you can't do that. Your mother was supposed to teach you how to be a woman by being loyal to your father. And most of these women that you go out here dating, they came from broken homes where they believe the mother and the negative things they said about the father, they kind of believe it, not getting the father side of the story, right? So now it's an abandonment issue that they have. They feel abandoned by a man. And now it's like they bring that trauma to the dating world. And here we are now, right? I don't, out of, It's only been a handful of women I've dated, and this is all races. When I've dated white women who wasn't raised with their fathers, and it's like you see it, you know. Um, Issues with the mom. I used to see that all the time in Canada. Just these girls, like that's why you see a lot of girls, like especially white girls, moving out in high school. 15 years old, they got their own spot, room rental, basement rental. Got a job after school, room rental. They just like, nah, I'm getting away from her, and it's like you're leaving prematurely, and the decisions you're making to leave, like I remember there's this one chick I knew, right? Pretty girl. She was from Saskatchewan, and me and her, we used to, like high key flirt with each other, dance upon each other. We never smashed though, right? We never smashed. It never took it there, but it was just like she liked me, I liked her. I mean, we already knew it. It was just like we were always in between. Like she could always tell, like she kind of playing games a little bit. She got a dude that she's seeing. I got women that I'm seeing, and we see each other in passing. But it was never like, man, come on, let us come back with me. No, come here. Like we going to the hotel. Like it was never like that. Like like but she was very pretty, right? She always used to tell me about her mother. She's like, I'm an only child, and then my mother. She's like, I got to get away from this bitch. And she's just yada yada yada. She was 19 at the time. I was 21. So what did she do? She moved to Kelowna with like a group of girls and lived in some house, right? No education, not knowing, where she was gonna work at, how to get money. So meets a guy over Kelowna, ends up pregnant. She's a single mother to this day. And it's like you're not really thinking, you know, you know, it's just um now she had like a balanced home with a mother and a father. When there's male energy there, especially when the father and there's love there, then that type of trauma a young girl will not experience because it's the male energy is suppressing the masculine energy in the female, right? And there's a balance and there's love there in the home, right? Years and years of marriage there in the home, right? So, the child is much more comfortable making better decisions. There's assistance there for going to school and looking for an apartment, a car, and there's knowledge there being passed down, and the girl is learning by looking at the mother and father. The mother, she's witnessing her mother getting up and doing the same routine every day, not only for herself but for her and her husband. She's saying, okay, you know, you know, she's thinking about her husband and checking us on, hey, don't wake your father, don't bother your father. Hey, leave that plate of food for your father. Hey, go get that newspaper. Your father wants to read it. That type of, that's how you learn how to cooperate with a man, by your mother and your father. But you know, she never saw it. You think, and when these young girls go out in the world, they think, okay, cooperation is just opening up your legs and never saying no to a man for sex, and that ain't, that's appreciated, but that ain't how you're supposed to move out here. And these women are not getting the game. So how do they learn? They learn the hard way. These women will never admit it, but most of them just love abusive men. Women like broken dudes because they can control him. I just got out of a relationship a month ago, and I'm about to finish my bachelor's and got accepted into the MBA program. My ex nonstop was giving me hell. Meanwhile, I knew dudes that were in and out of jail, getting all the love and support just for being a bum. Yeah. Um, ain't no gotta be jail. Drug addicts, just unachievers, and things of that nature. Yeah, women love them. Why do they love them? Because it's an edge. It's an edgy dude you're dealing with. You feel safe. Pause. Um, and then on top of that, you can control this person, right? Now, you really can't control a criminal, but criminals, they do what they want to do. But, a chick can call the laws on somebody, parole officer, this, that, and the third. You remember on Baby Boy, what's the name's character told Tyrese, Jody, like, I'm gonna call your parole officer. No, I think she told Snoop Dogg's character, either him or Tyrese. And I think it was Tyrese. I think she made it said it to Tyrese when he was like banging on the window and the door, saying, "Hey, let me see my son," and this, that, and the third. She was like, "No, go before I call your parole officer." So yeah, that's 100% control, right? I can control this person right here. That's what it is. So, hey, great conversation. I'm gonna go live again tomorrow, but it'll be earlier in the morning. Hope you guys had a good Memorial Day. You guys might be at work or busy tomorrow morning, but if you guys would listen to the rebroadcast, then that'll be great. Go to Facebook, type in Passport Bros Unite. You'll see a picture of a dude holding a passport. There's no faces in there. It's just the camera's just showing a guy with a passport. There's a passport in his hand, right? That's this channel's Facebook group. And join that, answer the questions. I will add you into the group. Get updated with the latest things that are going on this channel, interesting videos and pictures and articles we share in the Facebook group. Salute. Thank you, Adriel, first of his name. New subscriber. I'll tune in next time. Thank you. I appreciate it. We will go live tomorrow morning. If you guys aren't available to chime in with tomorrow's topics, then it's okay. The video will be posted up after we go live tomorrow. I'll go live by either 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. All right, I'm Mountain Time right now, so East Coast time, I'm gonna go live at noon. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. So you don't want to miss that. I think I want to talk about that soccer player, that Nigerian soccer player who took a DNA test and found out all three of his kids were not his. All right. So see you guys tomorrow. Over and I'm out. Peace.